Hey, it's Tuesday, Total Schmidt Show. Let's do this. Total Schmidt Show Season 3 is upon us. Tune in every week. I talk to entertainers from all over the world. Singers, dancers, comics, musicians, drummers, blah, blah, blah. All kinds. Techs, even some cruise directors. Most of the entertainers I talk to work on cruise ships. If you ever wanted to know what entertainers do, how they get through their day, any of the behind-the-scenes stuff about entertaining, we'll talk about that stuff here, as well as we'll delve into some of the entertainers and some of their works, some of their albums coming up, some of the things they've done in the past, things you can look forward to in the future. All that stuff you can catch here on Total Schmidt Show. But either way, get yourself a pizza, a beer, some bourbon, light up a cigar, or some sort of joint, or whatever type of crutch or vice you need to get through the evening, and sit back and enjoy whatever it is I put together this week on Total Schmidt Show. You're welcome. Hey, it's Lenny Schmidt. How you doing? Thanks for tuning into the show. I had a cool intro shot in sunny Alaska, but I messed it up somehow. So now I'm shooting at the rainy airport in Alaska, Juneau, Alaska, for the show today, Total Schmidt Show. My guest is Daniel Eachus. He's on the show. If you're listening on the podcast, do me a favor, subscribe if you can. Follow if you can. Really, subscribe would help me out big time. The last few episodes have been great, talking to different entertainers, traveling, working on cruise ships. Also, if you are watching the video, you're already subscribed probably, unless you're watching the short version on YouTube. You can follow me everywhere at Mr. Lenny Schmidt. Do that, or go to at MrLennySchmidt.com or MrLennySchmidt.com or LennySchmidt.com, blah, 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 blah. Subscribe to the website. That helps me out more than everything. You can subscribe for free. You can get all kinds of stuff for free. You can also have a paid package where you see full videos, full content, full everything. So there you go. And if you're watching the video in any way, shape, or form, I changed the opening a little bit. Just some of the scenes from beautiful Alaska when the weather is nicer than it is now. I've mentioned several times on the show, I love working up here. I'll be up here all season. There were some great shots. I'll do more shots and maybe some shorts over the next few weeks for content subscribers. And I don't know. I hope you dig it. I love Alaska. You should come up here during the summer. It's absolutely the best. Daniel Eachus, I worked with this week on Carnival Spirit. Great comic, great writer, man. Really great writer. Had some great material. Had a great time hanging with him. We're hanging here at the airport now, killing time, waiting to get out of here to fly home. It's been a long travel day to get back to Los Angeles to spend a day with my daughters. And then 4 days with my girlfriend. That's my whole story. I'm sticking to it. But while you're waiting, or while you're... don't wait, folks. Just sit back and enjoy my conversation with the one and only Mr. Daniel Eachus. Great working with you this week, man. Good. I know I worked with you somewhere, and I guess it is that Ventura place. But great material, dude. You got really great stuff.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
Yeah, my... parents think so, and no, yeah, I write a lot. I mean, I'm like super written. Although I feel like I say that, and then you go check the amount of like crowd work I actually do, and I actually think I do way more crowd work than I think I do a lot of times.
Yeah, but crowd work's part of the. I don't know if it's a tool or if it's a symptom. Is the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Of live performance. I think you gotta do some crowd work.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, if you don't go up and don't do any crowd work, I good for you, I guess. But
it just feels like free laughs.
Yeah,
does that make sense? Where you're just like, I didn't have to work. This is free, you know?
Yeah, but I don't think it's free because if
it works, you're like, oh, that was like a free laugh. You earn it, but you're like, I didn't even have to write that. I just did it on the spot.
Yeah, but I think then that's a credit to your ability as a comedic performer.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? True. Like I always thought it was a real big art. To work a room, I always called it working a room. Like it was, you ever seen Howie Mandel? Or Howie, of course you've seen him.
Yeah.
But Carl LeBeau. All right, those are the two of the best guys I've ever seen work a room, like a full room, and do their show and be able to work a whole crowd, talk to a guy in the way in the back, and integrate it all into their show. Yeah. To me, that's working a live show. Some guys don't do that, which is fine. Some guys do that, which I think is great. But I think to knock it.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole debate with Mark Maron and Rife right now going on. It's Matt Rife.
Yeah, I've been kind of watching that. it's ridiculous because stand-up is supposed to be like the ever-changing Rubik's Cube that is fighting back at you sort of a thing. And I feel like stand-up is always changing. Stand-up is always evolving, and we've embraced that. And then the second it changes and evolves, you get all these people being like,
Yeah.
hey, what?
That's not stand-up.
Yeah, like,
That's not. Plus, there's so many different styles.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I've always loved it is there's different. For decades, there's Rita Rudner, there's Dice Clay, there's Jay Leno, there's Brian Regan, there's Nate Wethrup is a friend of mine. There's other guys that who's another Gaffigan, clean comic. You know, or so there's so many different kinds of styles. And there's people that really love those styles. So why shouldn't they laugh? And then you have a crowd. There's a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a chance to laugh. So why knock a guy for doing a show and filling a stadium? Well, that seems silly.
Yeah. I mean, comedy is like cultural. It's like based on what society likes at that time.
Right.
I mean, there's, I hate to say it, but like, because I grew up being like, I read like a lot of comics. Steve Martin's book, and Steve Martin also went to Long Beach State. That's where I went to school, and so it's this thing where in his book he's talking about thinking of jokes when he walked to class. As I'm reading this, going, I just thought of jokes when I was walking to class, like that same hallway,
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
and then you watch some of the stuff from Steve Martin, you're like, oh, this was a product of its time. Like this wouldn't work today.
Sure.
This is just like isn't funny for most people nowadays. And it's funny because at the time you're like, he was on top of the world with all this.
Right.
And I feel like people are gonna look at our comedy the exact same way in
they will
40 years.
Dude, I've been doing it 38 years. There's stuff I look at now that I was doing 20 years ago. And I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking? Why would I wouldn't, you know what I mean? It changes. But, the way you survive is if you adapt with the times and you can keep a persona alive to be relevant. Yeah. And not just, you can reinvent yourself, I guess, if you want, like to someone's credit. I think that's impressive. Yeah. But if your character, your person, your persona can survive over the years and still be relevant and strong, I think that's a testament to how good you adapt. And you got to adapt. Yeah. I mean, now it's even shorter. There's stuff that was done 5 years ago that isn't good now. Yeah. You ever seen the old thread of the SNL thing? There's a whole SNL video of stuff that wouldn't fly today. And you watch it, you're like, oh my God, none of that would fly today. Yeah. It's not even close.
I feel like maybe this is cheesy, but Bugs Bunny has always been a great example of me for a lot of that stuff. One, it's like, he adapted over decades. You could see it, like that decade versus this decade. I mean, he's been around for so long. But also, like, I've always thought of like specials in that way, or like the chunk of material that you're working on right now. You're like, I still got to be Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny is still Bugs Bunny. Right. It's just Bugs Bunny's in space now. Bugs Bunny is over here now. Like,
really?
What is he doing?
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
Like, what's he doing with his life? But he's still Bugs Bunny.
He's still the same character.
And it's like, that's kind of what we do, where it's just like, okay, you might be like, oh, now you're married, and you're talking about marriage life. Or like, oh, now you got kids, you're talking about that. Or you're like dating, or whatever is going on in your life. You still got to be Bugs Bunny.
Yeah. No, that's a great way to put it, dude. I've never even thought about that before. That's brilliant. You're right. You guys people got to, when they see Bugs Bunny, they know what they're going to get. Like they have a good idea. Oh boy, I know what he's going to do. And then he adapts it to whatever is going on in today. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sometimes, who's damn it, why am I drawing a blank right now? Triumph the Insult Dog can be like that on some levels. You know what I mean? Because he still goes to a place but he's always been able to break that every wall. And that's kind of him. That's his style. But he finds a way to make fun of the fact that he can't do it anymore. You know what I mean? Like he kind of bags on himself for doing what he's doing. Right. So he's reinvented himself by doing what he does, but then correcting himself. And then making fun of society for making fun of him. You know what I mean? It's almost like a triple whammy. But it's brilliant.
Inception
it works.
of comedy.
It's like look over here, look over here. Yeah, it's a total distraction.
Yeah,
but that's a great example of it. But yeah, you got to be able to, and especially for I'll always say guys like us, but any comic that works that isn't where you're not filling the room on your name. Like if people are coming to see you as a person,
right, yeah.
You know what I mean? You've got to be relevant to a room full of people that don't know who you are. Yeah, and at some levels, I think that's harder for us. Because we don't have a built-in audience that will just show up and go, yeah, whatever you say.
Oh, definitely.
How many times you walk in front of a crowd on a ship or not, or one-nighter where you're like, no one knows who you are. It happens all the time,
That's why I sometimes I feel like even like the cruise gigs, that is one of the benefits to doing them. By the time you get to the last show, if they've been watching you, if they've been coming to all the shows, you're like, I could get away with things a little easier with less of a premise because they already know me at 100%, this point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, every other night we're just like, yeah, you don't know me, you don't know anything about me. I gotta preface everything, and I gotta win you over. And
well, especially like these, like Carnival ships and Norwegian's levity ships, and I guess some of the Royal ships. Those are the ones I'm familiar with that do the multiple club show sets. Like we do 5 in a week. You know what I mean? Levity does up to 10 45-minute shows in 7 days. So they're seeing you a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, like when I do Celebrity or Princess, you only do 2 shows.
Okay.
You do 2 shows in the theater, and that's it. You're done. Sometimes you do a late adult show. You know what I mean? People will show up to that. So you'll get the benefit of people seeing your clean show and then going, I can't wait to see an adult show, and then going to see an adult show. And the people who show up for the adult show, they definitely want to see adult humor.
Yeah.
And then they want to see you because they've seen you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But these other ships, like, and Levity's a great example of that, is because you're doing 45-minute shows, and you're doing at least 9 of them. So by the 6th or 7th show, you're right. You can almost call back shows.
Yeah.
You can't call back like to the second show. And then you know them just like they know you. So you're like, somebody walks in like, hey, Tom, how are you?
Yeah.
How was the cheese? Or whatever, whatever you want to dig out from the other show. You can say something that gets a big laugh that wouldn't have got a laugh on the first night.
Right.
Yeah. It's the benefit of playing the crowd for 7 days, sort of.
How many different shows are you doing on Norwegian? Like different sets?
On Norwegian, their setup is a lot. It's simpler to this respect, where the only rule they have on Norwegian is you have to have a separate 45 clean and 45 adult.
Okay.
And then you have a theater show at some point in the cruise. Whatever you do in the theater has to be separate from whatever you did in the club. And then after you do the theater show, you can integrate that material into the club. You know what I mean? So whatever you do in the theater has got to be completely new that they haven't seen yet. And then you can repeat. You can do the same family show all week long. You know what I mean?
Got it. Yeah.
4 times or whatever.
Yeah.
And their room is even smaller than some of these rooms. Their comedy rooms are pretty small. So, and I guess I've heard Royals the same way. Some of the Royal shows their club is so small, and you can do the same show 8 nights in a row on some of those gigs. And I think Disney's the same way. I don't do Disney, I don't do Royals, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's how Norwegian works. Is you got to at least do a different show in the theater, and then you can bring that material into the club. So it's actually, we used to always rotate 5 different shows here. Like I did 5 different shows this week. And I don't always do that. If I have 2 adult shows in the same night, I just repeat the adult show.
Yeah.
Because then it gives me an opportunity to work on different material.
Yeah.
Or the newer stuff. My newest stuff I'll do in the show I repeat, because then I can work on it. You know what I mean?
That's what I like. I mean, that's been the biggest challenge. I have 3 original shows right now, and then 2 repeats. But like, even if I got to the point where I have 5 original, like I like doing the same show because I like being able to I just like having all the tools in my belt.
Right.
Something says something, I can be like, cool, I'm going into that bit. I'm going this way with it. I'm going here. But there's so much where I'm like, I can't do that bit because I need it for the other show and blah, blah, blah. And I like being able to just do whatever I want for 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's the interesting part about the shift thing, where you got to be aware of what you're throwing out there. Because you're going to step on a premise that you're going to need for 2 days later. Like I've talked about that before on here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you go, I can't do that bit because I need it.
Yeah.
If I do that bit, I can't. It sets up 2 other bits, and then I've lost those 2 bits. You know what I mean, or whatever.
Yeah, and I feel like you get a better read on new material sometimes because you're like, man, should I have just tried that bit on this other show instead? Was that the problem why it didn't work?
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? And I like being able to try it, like doing a club weekend where you're doing 4 shows, and you're like, I'm gonna try that new bit every night, every show, and see how it does. And you can't blame the show.
Right.
The set you did, because
that's the one that I love that about doing the land gigs, is where I can do the same bit multiple times. You know what I mean? I'll do 15 minutes of stuff. I get to just do this every night.
Yeah.
To really get, and then do it together. Because when I do new material out here now, it's not like I do a bunch of new material. I'll do a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit. I don't do it all together yet.
Yeah.
If I can do a full 15 to 20, okay, here's 20 minutes that I don't do together normally, but then do it 3 nights in a row, I'm like, oh, that's great. Now I'm really getting to feel that material after 3 days.
Yeah, because I had a new bit that I didn't try it on the first cruise. I tried it on the second one for this one, and I did it on one of the shows that I repeated. I did it, and it worked pretty well. And I was like, I'm gonna tweak it, and then I tweaked it, and I did it on the repeat of that show, and it like was one of my best jokes for that show.
Right
and I
on,
was like,
yeah.
oh my god! But now I'm so excited to do. I had to do like 3 other shows where I couldn't do that brand new bit.
See, that's what I know. That's the thing that sucks the most. Is like, I'll have a new bit. And I go, this bit's killing. I go, I can't do it till Friday.
Yeah. Like, dang it! I've already used it up twice.
Yeah. Oh, that's very funny. That's hilarious. What was the new bit? I saw you do a new bit the other night. You told the crowd, and you said that's kind of a new bit.
Yeah, that was one that was, I don't remember which one that was, but it like did okay. And that's why I mentioned it. It was just not knowing how to whistle, and half the reason is because nobody's a good whistle teacher at all. It was like that bit.
Okay, I didn't see that bit.
It did super well. I mean, it did pretty good the first time. I was like, I think I'm gonna change that, and then the second time, it like, man, it was like roar.
Oh, that's great.
Roaring laughter.
Oh,
so I was like,
you.
but you still have it in your mind, like, it only killed once, so like, I got to do it a bunch, you know?
Yeah, so you feel like you can feel it enough.
Yeah.
I have one new bit that actually I think it's pretty solid now. But it's weird. Like when I do a new bit, I almost always get a bigger laugh in the area where I don't expect.
Yeah.
And the weaker laugh in the area where I think I want to get a big laugh.
Yeah.
So then I'll be like, well, now I got to drop the part I liked.
Yeah.
Or flip it. Like I'll do that. Like, oh, well, I'll flip it. I'll use it as a setup and then see if it doesn't step on the punchline.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with my new bit, which is this TV baseball thing that I was doing. It's very wordy, but it's good. Anyway, it killed this week. It got a huge like laugh. It even got an applause break one night. I was like, that's good. We were like, oh man, that's great.
Yeah.
And then there's one I was working on that I thought I had down, and then I did it here. Like I did it the last 2 weeks, and it got an applause break every time, and I mean just destroyed. And then this week it did okay, and I was like, damn it, I thought I was there with that bit.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to readdress it and look at it. Maybe it was just the crowd. Maybe it was way. So it's performance is so much of a part of it, man.
Yeah,
You know what
I mean performance also. I think maybe the bit that I did that I don't know if this was the one, but I'd noticed a bit that I had kind of, I don't want to say finished, but it gotten to the point where I'm like, this is it. This is how I'm gonna be trying this. And then I did it on this cruise, and each time I tried it, I probably did it 3 times throughout different shows on both the cruises, and it just did okay. And I'm like, God, I had done this on land, and it's been working really well. I was excited to try it here, but then I'm like, this might just be a cruise reaction thing where the cruises don't particularly like this bit.
Yeah.
And because it had to do with the Pompeii bit. I tell you that, where I went to Pompeii. You know what that is, with all the bodies and stuff. And the first part of the bit always works, and it worked really fine through every show. But the second part is new, where I started talking about how like everybody, all those bodies were like super fit. Like every single one of them, and like that didn't do very well. And I'm like, I start getting in my head. I'm
that
like,
part where overweight people are immune to lava. Is that the kind of the?
And I'm like, I don't know if this is the cruise thing where like this would do so well the like 3 or 4 times that I tried it at like clubs, and then I did it here, and I'm like, maybe it's like a cruise thing. I don't know. It's like, is it a?
Did the overweight line get a laugh?
No, not
See,
on the
I
cruise,
laughed, dude. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, and it's not, when you say it's a crowd thing or a cruise thing.
Yeah.
You know what's weird about the cruise is, I think the biggest difference between the cruise that people overestimate or underestimate, the cruise people are on vacation and they're a contained audience. I think that changes your mind state if you're going out and paying for comedy and going to pay to see a comedy show. I think that's a bigger difference than people think it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest things is that, you know, when you go out for like a comedy club or whatever, a comedy show that you're going to see, like this, you're like, I'm giving you money. I want to be like, I want to see this. I want to see what you have to offer. I want to laugh. I want to, I want to see this. And on the ship, it almost feels like they're like, I paid a lot of money to be here. You need to make me laugh, kind of thing. Like,
really?
That I'm not that they're owed it, but they're like, I'll just go to another show. Like, let's. It almost feels like a channel on a TV.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. I'll get that, because you're just part of the package.
Yeah,
I think, and they're like, well, this was okay, and it's all part of. You're like you're really like the ice cream. You know what I mean? How's the ice cream? Okay. How's the comedy? Good. You know what I mean?
I feel like the best analogy from my head is that going to a comedy club or going to a comedy show on land is going to see a movie in a movie theater.
Yeah.
And going to a comedy show on a cruise ship is watching a movie on Netflix where there's all these other things, and you're just kind of like, if this isn't good in 5 seconds, I'm tuning out.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I paid for Netflix, and I want to enjoy this. Right. So, like, yeah, I'll just go watch something else.
Yeah, no matter what, I'll find something.
Whereas the comedy club, you're like, I want to be patient. I'm going to see...
Right.
To see what this is all about. I'm staying for the whole thing.
Well, and it's a destination, too. It's like,
yeah,
we're going to this.
Yeah, it's an experience. You're like, you know, most of the time for movies, you're like, if I'm in a theater, it's probably going to be somewhat enjoyable, even if it's not the greatest movie I've ever seen.
Plus, people cruise for different reasons. Like, I've run into people where, I mean, like, I've told people I'm a comic and I'm on a ship, and they'll be like, I don't watch comedy on the ships. And I'll go, oh, okay, why? Because it sucks. I'm like, all right, I think it's kind of a broad statement, but it's, I get why. Trust me, I've cruised a bunch. I go, I don't think you're correct. I think you're incorrect. You may have seen some bad comics on a ship.
Yeah.
I go, but I've seen some pretty brilliant comics on ships. You know, it's comedy's like anything else. It's also subjective. You know what I mean? Some people think things are funny. Other people think things aren't.
Well, yeah, you also don't get the opportunity. Like nowadays, maybe this is an internet thing, but I don't know if the number of people who've come up to me after like comedy club shows being like, oh, we looked you up online before to see, you know, like that's, it's almost everybody
nowadays.
They
have a lot now. Yeah, right.
You can't really do that on the ships, you know? Yeah. So it's like, you're going to get what you're going to get. So it's like, I don't think people realize too. You're like, well, yeah, I mean, you had the opportunity to look me up and decide if I was funny. And then you came and saw me. Whereas here, you're like, it's whoever they have.
Well, I think it depends on it depends on the ship, the Wi-Fi package, and what cruise you're on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
true.
Like here, you can get Wi-Fi during the day because we're in Alaska, or some people have international Wi-Fi, so they can check stuff, so they can get away with doing it. But I've done, like I was just telling the story the other day. I've done a show in Chicago where I'm from, and I did the first show, went great, and after the first show, there's a hot dog place. I always go down the street to get hot dogs, and there's always a line to get into the late show. It's a huge line. So when I get out, people are calling my name out. Hey, Lenny, Lenny. But they're all watching my shit. Everybody walks by, sees your face, and then they go, okay, let's see this guy. Oh, shit, yeah, let's go watch this guy. And if they don't want to see you, they'll just leave. Yeah. But they already know what they're in for, kind of, when they're on land. So you're right about that. They can look you up in line while they're waiting to see your show.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's just something, I don't know why, people just seem a little more skeptical on the cruises, that they come in with a different attitude. I remember one guy... There was one of the first cruises I did. He goes, hey, that last joke you did, this is after the show. He's like, that last joke you did, that's pretty fun, but you stole that. That's from someone else. And I was like, really? Who? Because it was kind of a story. So I was like, no one would even have something similar. I was like, what? Who did this? And he's like, I don't know. And then he pauses and he's like, wait, did you do a dry bar special where you wore a striped shirt? And I was like, yeah. He goes, oh, that was you.
You stole from yourself, you thief.
I just thought it was funny. He's like, it didn't even cross his mind that, oh, maybe that's that guy. He was just like, this guy, this mofo's out here stealing bits. This guy,
yeah. But it was funny because he wouldn't even notice it if he didn't say it to you. You know what I mean? He wouldn't even realize. He would just go to someone and go, that's comic was stealing material or whatever.
Yeah.
Not realizing that you were the guy.
Right.
Yeah, it's such a weird... I just think it's weird because it's just free for them to come in and sit down.
Yeah.
Like Carnival's a little different on Somerset because comedy is kind of part of their pitch. Their thing is most of their shows are packed. I mean, their shows are usually pretty close to full.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's always weird if it's not. You're always like, what's happening?
Yeah, you're like, what? Yeah, exactly. This is weird. What's going on? I mean, even the family shows are like packed, and you're like, it's just part of their thing.
Yeah.
So people go to all of the shows. You know, you see people that come to every single show.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you know, you just get used to them being there.
That's been the tough thing with repeats. I can't tell you the number of people. I'll tell them, I'll be like, hey, yeah, we loved you last night. I was like, oh, this is a repeat of last night. And they'll be like, we don't care.
No, we don't care.
And you're like,
we're back. We're here. Yeah, we don't, that's where, because I'll do, like, because the amount of crowd work I do, sometimes people will be like, oh, it's all right because you're talking to the crowd.
Yeah.
And then I'll mix it up a little bit. And then I'll try to do something different if there's the same people are there. But a lot of times, I have to do it because I have, especially if I'm going to do something new, sometimes something is working into it, you know.
Yeah,
I got to work my way into that bit. So I need this bit to get here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, at that point, I go, I'm doing the bit, whether or not you guys do
it
or not. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm in that. The second I feel like I have to do crowd work, I'm never good at it.
Well, yeah, well, you're forced into anything.
If somebody's like, you got to buy 5 minutes, and I'm out of jokes, it'll be the worst 5 minutes of your life.
So what do you do? That's the whole.
Yeah. But if I have a ton of time and I just feel like doing crowd, it's always the best crowd work.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's about being in the moment. I always say it's
Yeah.
the moment. You know what I mean? If you're in the moment, you can get away with anything, and you're comfortable and you trust yourself, and you're good. But if you're like, yeah, I've had. It wasn't long ago. I had a show where I looked at the clock and I go, "Fuck, I got 4 minutes."
Yeah.
You know, and I go, I know my and that point, like my closing bit's 2. I go, I got 2 minutes to kill. I go, I can kill 2 minutes. But even then, you're like, you're awkwardly tiptoeing your way into.
Yeah.
So Ventura, right? That's where you were from. You know,
Yeah.
Trying to go back to.
So going back to what I was saying
Yes,
20
remember the
minutes
thing
ago.
I said earlier.
I did that a couple cruises ago because there was a whole chunk, and I was like, oh God, I got to get back into it. And the only way there was like a through line and some callbacks, and I was like, I got to get to that specific bit so that I could do those 5. And I was like, how am I going to bring that topic up? It was like, I don't remember the exact bit, but I remember having to be like, so you guys remember earlier when we were talking
So I was talking the bicycle. Remember the bicycle?
Yeah.
It's an awkward situation. See, I get myself in trouble that way sometimes because I'll respond to stuff in the crowd, but I'm usually smart enough to not do it in the middle of a bit that I can't break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's certain bits where I'm like, timing wise, I'm like, I really need to stay in this moment and finish it. Because if I don't, I'm going to have to lose the bet. I'm going to lose the back end of it. There's no way to go back into. So my mom grabbed the belt, and I mean, you know, it's a story,
right?
Yeah, you totally messed up, right? So you got to find a way to somehow go back. But that's just what I do. You know what I mean?
Have you talked a lot of worst shows you've ever done on this podcast?
Yeah, I've done. What's your worst? I've mentioned mine a couple of times. There's 2 I've done. One with my brother. 2 they were both with my brother, I think. But what was yours? Where's yours?
I mean, there's probably a lot. But one, I guess the most recent that comes to mind was you ever do like a gig salad thing, or do you know what that is?
No,
or like
no, no,
there's another one too. I forget the name of it, but it's like a website where you can you just put all your info, and then somebody will be like, hey, looking for a comic, there'll be 100 people, it's on this date, here's my budget.
Oh, there's a couple of different
There's a couple of
websites for
those.
that. Yeah,
Gig
okay.
Salad's one of them. This is the one I was on, and it was right by my house, like 2 minutes away on like a Tuesday at like 5 p.m.
Wow. All right.
And you throw out a bid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I threw out a bid that I thought was pretty high because I was like, I kind of don't want to do this show because the show itself doesn't sound good, but if they're gonna pay it, it's right by my house. Why
Sure,
not?
it's easy money. Kind of.
And I ended up winning it with that, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing this gig. And so this lady, she hits me up.
Wait, how do you win the gig? Do you throw out a bid and they?
Yeah, she'll be like, hey, I've selected you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you. What would you offer? And I'd be like, I'll do it for $500.
Okay.
And you don't see what other people are bidding, you know.
All right.
And then even maybe they love you and they're like, we don't even care. We'll give you whatever you want because we want you actually. Or maybe they just pick the lowest amount. I don't really know. But I got this gig, and the lady, she contacts me. She's like, hey, she's like, it's sort of a show for my neighbor. And I was like, oh, okay, is her birthday? And she's like, no, her husband passed away last year on this date. And we thought to cheer her up in the neighborhood, we're going to do a show on the anniversary of the day he died.
What a horrible idea this is.
It gets worse. So I was like, okay. Does she know about this? And she's like, yeah. It turns out I get there. It's like 5 women in their like middle age, like 40s, 50s, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
I'm not the comic you usually want for that. I'm just not the guy.
Yeah, it's a little light on menopause material.
Yeah, 5 middle-aged women. What are they gonna find? Oh yeah, well, bring me out. It's in a front yard. It's like 5 p.m. It's daylight.
Jesus.
There's a table with some food. The ladies were all very nice. So they was like, would you want some food before you go up? I'm like, no, I'm fine. There was a microphone connected to like a 10-watt guitar amp. it worked fine. But it was like I was on a driveway, and they were just in like their lawn chairs. And I was like, okay, so when do we start? And everyone's just looking at me. There's no like I'm in the back of the room being like, when do you want me to go up? And let's get all the logistical stuff out of the way. No, everyone's just listening to me say the logistical stuff. Like, when do I go up? And they're like, whenever you want to start. And I'm like, where? And they're like, right here. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm talking to the lady who I was emailing who booked me. And I was like, where's the, just so I knew, I was like, where's the guest of honor? And she said, she was feeling a little sick today. Well, of course she was. She's not feeling well.
Yeah.
It's like, so she's right there. And she points up at the 2-story house next, like 10 feet away, of a lady in a second-story window, the window closed, and she's like waving to me. And I was like, oh, that's her? And then she's like, yeah, she's going to watch from up there. And I was like, okay, can she hear me? And she gives me a thumbs up. And I'm like, okay, well, you just give me a thumbs up if you like it. And so I was like, I guess I'll just start now. And then I just grabbed the microphone and I'm like, okay, guys. But I'd have to look up, like craning my neck to be like, yeah. And then I'd go back down to the crowd who's like sitting down in chairs. And then I'd go up. And it was something like 15 minutes, felt like 4.5 hours. And then I left.
Did they pay you?
Yeah, I got paid. All that was fine, but it was like...
When you looked at her, did she give you a thumbs up?
Yeah, she would
give you a thumbs down?
No.
Did she ever go, that one's not good?
No, but I do. I mostly work clean for the most part. And so I kind of don't think about it very much when somebody says, like, oh, just be clean. You're like, yeah. Like, I normally do. I don't have to worry about this. But so I don't really think about my set very much in those terms. And I didn't really take out any bits that involve... Like... Whereas I might not go dirty, I go dark sometimes.
Right.
Or I'll go, talking about like death or joking about.
Yeah, sometimes it's not blue. It's
it's just dark, which isn't dirty, but it's like in this particular situation.
Right.
Yeah, I'd mentioned one joke where like death was sort of in the punchline of it, and I just remember I was like, I'm not gonna look up there at this joke. It didn't get a laugh, but I was like, I'm not gonna look for the thumbs up.
That feeling like with your mom, you're with your mom when you're shopping, and you get that. She's staring at me. She's staring at me.
Yeah, so that's up there.
Well,
is
yeah,
one of the ones.
That's gonna be way up there. It's only 5 people though. It's not. But I think the worst part is that you're in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right? People can drive by.
Yeah, there's just cars going by.
And
and
the guy walking his dog.
Yeah. I didn't get many laughs. Everyone was very nice, though. Well, so you just feel awkward. You're like, am I supposed to laugh? I don't know.
Yeah.
Plus, if you're a neighbor, you're like, where's the lady we threw this for? Oh, she's up there.
She's upstairs.
Oh, I'm stuck watching this guy. Yeah. And then, I get off, and she's like, so do you want to eat right now? And I'm like, I'm good.
I'm really full. I think I just want to get out of here. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
So gig salad. All right, I'll look that up.
Yeah, sure. Have fun. I'm sure you can underbid me some of those gigs.
I'll bring my own microphone. Sold!
Yeah.
God, I haven't done any gigs like that in a long time, man. Yeah, I've been mostly on shifts for the last few years.
Nice. I mean, I do like the consistency of it. You're like, there's going to be a lot of people. It's always in a room that looks kind of like this.
Yeah.
And, here it is.
The huge advantage we have is, like I said, it's a contained audience. So you can do, you get to do material. I mean, you get to do your stuff all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we're fortunate that way.
Yeah.
I mean, how many guys, I know tons of actually, I'll never work shifts. I'm like, all right, fine. I'm working. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
So, but I don't have to hustle around plus in LA, where are you at in LA?
I just moved by like Anaheim, like Angel Stadium area.
Okay.
Yeah.
In LA, you're hustling for spots, and they're 10-minute spots.
Yeah.
The few times I've been home for a couple of weeks, I used to book a gig in Hollywood, and it was just more or less gigs. But I'm like, God, I don't, I did the Chateau a couple of weeks ago, and it was fun hanging at the bar because I saw a lot of comics I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, when I started, I used to do that.
Yeah.
I used to hang out at the club all night, try to get spots and hang out, do a quick set, and I used to love it.
Yeah.
And now the best part is hanging out, But if I had to hustle for spots, I'd be like, man, I'd be miserable. That's, people are trying to get time, and that's the worst. And I'll see a lot of people hanging around trying to get time who've been hanging around forever, and they're just, a lot of them are not good. There's some that are very good, but there's a lot of comics that are doing the same material they've been doing for 15, 20 years, and you're like, man, you got to evolve, write a joke, do something,
I feel like that's, like, especially when I started, the thing that I took from a lot of nights like that was that, sure, you'd see great people and you'd learn from people who are great, but for every one of those, there was 10 that you're like, oh, I don't want to be like these people. And that almost taught me more, I feel like.
Right.
You'd be like, okay, let's not do this. Let's, don't do that.
Well, my brother Mike and I know, because my brother Mike's a stand-up too, and he started in, believe it or not, we started the same week without telling each other. Like, he was in Tahoe, and I was living in Orange County.
Oh, that's funny.
We both started doing stand-up, and he called me one day. He's like, you're not going to believe what I did. I'm like, you're not going to believe what I did. And we were like, I did stand-up. I did stand-up. And then after that, we would always do, like, he had a circuit he was kind of doing in Tahoe. There was shows at casinos that I would go up and get spots at, and he would come down to Orange County. And we did a lot, but then we lived in L.A. for a while and did that. And then we left, went back to Illinois.
Yeah.
And he worked the road, and I did improv. But we noticed when we were in LA and Anaheim, we did a lot of work in Orange County. There was an Orange County circuit down there. Back then was the Laugh Stop? Laugh Stop was open back then. It was a long time ago.
Okay.
And that was a club that Mike used to hang at a lot. It was in Irvine. So we did that club. We did the Comedy Store. We did the LA stuff. We did all these LA and Orange County circuits, went back to Chicago, came back to LA years later.
Yeah.
And one of the first things Mike and I noticed, and Mike mentioned to me, is we went to an open mic. We saw some comics we had known 6-7 years ago at the Stop. And at LA Cabaret, which is another gig in the Valley. And they were doing the same 6 minutes they were doing earlier. And Mike and I was like, I can't believe you guys doing the same. You've written anything in 6 years? You know what I mean? And like, we've been working, and we're not geniuses, but, and I lost a couple of friends where they came up to me in Chicago. They were like, I want to go to LA like you do. What do I got to do to go to LA? And I go, you got to write more jokes.
Yeah.
And they were like, what do you mean? I go, dude, honestly, you've been pounding out the same 40 for the last 7 years I've seen you.
Yeah.
I know you got a market around the Chicago suburbs, but I mean, dude, if you want to go up a level, and I'm not saying I'm up a level, but if you want to expand, you got to at least be able to write some material and grow. You got to grow.
Yeah.
Because the more you write, the more you write, the better writer you become, and the more you perform, the better comic you perform, and your material rotates. Like you get to a point where you write so much better. You look at certain jokes, you're like, that joke is too juvenile for me now.
Yeah.
My writing's better than that bit is.
Or you know how to fix it.
100%. There's a ton of where you look and you go, now I got it.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Yeah, I never throw stuff away. It's
I
always
keep it all, right.
Because I highlight them. I'll be like, I'll come back to this stuff.
But then you figure out how to fix it.
Yeah.
But I've had bits that I did. I used to have my big closer. This is embarrassing. I hate bringing it up. It's my big closer was a bit about PMS. It was a feature act bits, you know what I mean, that you close with. And the ending, there was a whole thing about everything bad about PMS. It's just a terrible alpha male bit. It was just really bad. And the end of it closes with, that's why it's called that's why I call it PMS, because it pretty much sucks. And that was the big statement. The crowd would laugh and, good night! And I would leave and like I was a hero, And I look back at it now. I watched the bit and I'm like, oh my God, there's not even one good line in that bit.
Yeah.
It's just bad. But I saw a friend years ago and like, would you do that PMS bit again? I go, no. I go, I will never do that bit again.
Yeah.
And they're like, why? I really like that bit. And she was like, I love that bit. I go, it's a really bad bit.
Yeah.
It's like it's not, no, I couldn't explain why. But I was just like, I've got better stuff now.
Yeah.
That was the best I could go with. But I'll never forget closing. And that would get huge, but it was all bar gigs where guys would go, yeah, and it's just shitty lines in it about my doll. I mean, just every line of the bit is horrible, But that was my big signature bit for years. It's so embarrassing. So that was my money bit, man, for years.
Yeah.
It was the big high energy feature.
I've always seen it too. Like I've sort of had these like levels in my head that don't really exist that I made up. But in my head, there are 3 levels to comedy, and I feel like I would see a lot of comics who would be stuck on level 1 or whatever for a while, where in my head level 1 is get a laugh, learn to be funny, that's and there are jokes, and I don't say this like everything you do is going to be like level 3. No, some jokes I feel like are just funny. That's
Sure.
it. That's all it is at the end of the day. It's just a funny joke. To me, level 2 is, okay, you have to always do the thing previous to it. So you gotta always be funny. That's level 1. You gotta have level 1 to get to level 2. So be funny and now say something interesting.
Right.
And you know, there, like I said, there's certain bits that I'm like, I'm not really saying anything interesting. It's just funny here. But you want the majority of your stuff to eventually get to a point where you're saying something interesting and you're getting laughs. And then level 3 is to try to find a way to connect all of the jokes thematically into a set, you know, into like now you're saying a whole arc thing, and that's obviously that's like way harder to do than it sounds, you know. And but I've always tried to do that. I'd be like, okay, this is funny, this is funny, this is funny, but I gotta say something interesting here, you know, and then try to get to the next one. So I feel like I would notice a lot of that too when I would go to open mics and see those people who I'd seen forever who might be getting laughs, and you're like, or maybe they're doing the same jokes, maybe they're doing different jokes every time, but you're like, God, you're only ever just saying something funny. Like, try to say something interesting, you know, which doesn't have to be much.
Or like I follow the same. I will follow when I tape the digital downloads or specials or whatever you want to call them now. Like most of my opening stuff is just funny. It's just to get laughs. Yeah. But then like to take, like you say something interesting. I always call it. I believe I agree with you. But I always call it say something that means something to you. Like when I really try to write stuff, it's like I'm trying to get a point across to the audience about something that means something to me. Yeah. And a lot of times, like I don't like to pick politically on sides, but I like to talk about society as a whole and where I think we make mistakes. Just to write my point of view. Yeah. But to make it interesting to the whole room so they understand it. But I still do both of them in my act. I still do something that's just my opening, just a goofy, funny joke, and then I do a chunk of stuff like my last a big joke about mansplaining, which I think is stupid, but you know, it's a good bit. I think it's a great bit, and sometimes people hear a bit and don't understand what the bit's about.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Definitely. They'll just hear the words and go, "That joke you did about this is out of line." I go, "I didn't do any jokes about that." Yeah, I used that like one bit I did it last night. The bit about talking to my daughters about oral sex, teaching my daughters about oral sex, explaining it to them. Yeah. The whole point of the bit is communication with your children. Yeah, yeah. To be honest, that's the point of the bit. The point of the bit is if you don't do it, it's going to go sideways. So I over-exaggerate the sideways part. So then people go, you shouldn't do that. I go, well, I didn't. That was the point of the bit. Is you don't want to do that. Right. Because then this way they understand. But then some people can hear it and go, that's a great point. You're right. You should listen to your kids and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. That's where it goes. So, I mean, there's something underneath the material, the theme, or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? Which is kind of where you go. So you're right. There's two different parts of it, and you can be both comics. Like I was watching a clip of Brian Regan the other day, who I think is brilliant. Comic. And he just did a bunch of stupid jokes he was doing, and you're watching them, and you're like, they're just jokes. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with them. They're funny. Yeah. They fit right into his act, fits his character. That's the other thing is you start to understand what your voice is on stage. Yeah. And what you can get away with. You can get away with saying something goofy out of nowhere and then doing a bit that's something that's real. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, you don't have to, not every bit has to tie into the theme, you know, which is something you're like, this one, I feel like. It's a TED Talk, you know what I mean? It's got to be a balance of, you know, the difference, like an exception is a guy like Dave Chappelle that is on a different level. I think, where he everything's a theme. Yeah, and some of his, you'll have specials that like not only does the special itself has an arc, but these three specials together are arcs. Yeah, it's a whole. Yeah, Lord of the Rings now. It's like a trilogy. It's a trilogy. It's a trilogy. We're doing trilogy. He's got a franchise of specials out there that you're like, oh my god, now it all makes sense. Yeah, right. But he can do that. He gets away with that. And I can. Yeah, you know what I mean. And I couldn't even come close to him. Yeah, and it's none of it's easy. I mean, I feel like I'm at the point right now where I'm trying to think more level 3 stuff, trying to get I don't think I haven't done it yet, I feel like, but like that's the goal. I feel like I guess a good bit as an example would be like that whistle bit. Like if I was like a level 1 would be if I just said whistling is hard, you know, and I just made it funny. Right. And a level 2 to say something interesting with it, or I think, is that like whistling is hard for me because of you guys not being very good at teaching people how to whistle. Right. You know, it doesn't have to be a groundbreaking thing. It's just a more interesting thing than just whistling is hard. And then level 3 would be to somehow take that bit and to say an overarching theme that ties into other jokes and what I'm trying to say as a comic concept. So I feel like that's the part that I'm like, that's my challenge right now, is to try to find a way to, not necessarily that bit, but just No,
in
but as
general.
a whole,
Yeah.
which I got a ton of respect for, because then that means you're constantly writing, trying, and creating and pushing yourself on some levels. You know, a lot of guys hit level 1 and they just keep going.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's fine if you're happy with that, and that's rewarding to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of times I watch guys that can be brilliant on stage and talk about the world, and I'm like, God, I wish I could do that.
Yeah,
I wish I could make that funny and fit my character. But it doesn't. I come off like preaching. I got to keep my characters I'm the fun Gen Z dad or fun Gen X dad that doesn't understand but wants to understand. And that's my character. It's got, you know what I mean? I got to stay within that lane, because once I get out of it, I sound like I'm preaching or I'm talking down to an audience or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a fine line. It's tough. I feel like because I've always been, I guess, this smart guy, I guess. I don't know. I read a lot or whatever. But like being young, or at least looking young to a lot of people, I get a lot of crowds just being like, you don't know shit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
who are you to
who
say?
Are you to
even
talk?
if I say the most profound thing of all time, they'd still be like, you don't know what you're talking about. You haven't done a job for 40 years that you hated. And I'm like, okay, I haven't, but I still have this thing that I want to say.
Well, how old are you, man?
Are you a cop? No, 30, old enough to now have to start thinking about it. I hit that part where I'm like, oh God, I got to start taking my, when I was born and subtracting.
Wait till
34.
You get 34?
Yeah.
That's good. Wait till you get to an age where you're old enough where you don't even care. You know, when I hit 60, I was like, that's an easy one to remember.
Yeah.
You can remember 60. You know, and I'm there. So, I'm 60.
Yeah.
So.
Well, because after 30, the milestones are now by tens. You know,
Yeah.
when you're like 18's a milestone. 20, you're now in your 20, 21, 25. I could rent a car, and then 29 last year in my 20s, and then 30. And then I was like, okay, now the next one's
Now it's
40.
all 40s. Yeah,
and then
right.
50,
Now you got a long way to
and
go.
then
Yeah.
60.
Yeah, and then age becomes just. I'll be honest with you. I always tell people this. I can't believe how good I feel at 60. I feel good.
Yeah.
You know, I'm healthy. I'm, exercise. I'm not dying. You know,
Yeah.
I thought at 60 I'd be falling apart. you
Yeah.
know? So.
Times have changed too. I think.
Yeah, no, we're different, right? No. Well, look at the pictures. You ever seen the pictures? The cast of we just saw this the other day. The cast of Barney Miller. They showed the cast of Barney Miller on there. I remember watching that show. Those guys were all in their early 30s.
Oh,
You know what I mean? They're showing these pictures. I'm like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
Or Wilford Brimley, when he was 40, he looked like he was 60. You know, there's a different.
Yeah,
time
even
back
like
then.
Seinfeld. I think they were all supposed to be. George Costanza was not very old. Mr. Bean was like 30 or 32.
Oh,
or
was it
something
really?
Like that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I always thought it was like 45.
Yeah, he
or
looked like a
something.
45-year-old guy. Yeah, right.
Now he's like 32. I'm like, oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That was only in the 90s. Or
Yeah,
late
right.
90s,
Right. All right, well, there you go.
Yeah, it's changed. I also think comedy keeps you young in a lot of ways, mentally, physically. I mean, the amount of like traveling.
What is that shit? That's not good.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
Just give this angle.
No, it does, because we get to, and because on some, dude, I really screwed up on the setup today.
No.
Everything is twisting and falling.
This is gonna be, everything's just gonna be constantly
I'll
moving.
fix it in post. Yeah, no, you're right. Well, we're doing what we like to do. I think that's a big part of it. If we're doing what we enjoy to do on some level, you're happy. You know what I mean? There's a happiness in there. Even though the business side of it sucks.
Yeah.
The travel and the shit. You know what I mean? There's a lot of shit we go through that you're like, oh, whatever. It's fucking planes and booking, whatever it is. But the rest of it, for the most part, we go up on stage. The best part is being on stage.
Yeah.
You know, it's telling the jokes and stuff.
I think it's fun too to like, we're forced to like, I mean, this is not a knock on anyone else, but something I love about comedy is that we're forced to look at life in a big picture way.
That's true.
Forever,
Yeah.
as long as we're doing it.
Yeah,
Where
and
it's
plus,
like,
we make fun of all of it.
Yeah.
We have to find the humor in everything that happens around us.
yeah.
We also have, going back to the dark thing, comics have the darkest sense of humor out of anyone.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we can find anything and go, dude, what if, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, there's things we laugh at, the crowds be like, oh my God, why would you, you
Yeah.
know? So, but I think that's maybe part of it.
Yeah,
We got to wrap it up. My battery's going to run out of power again.
for sure.
Yeah, I think we're good. Dude, this was great. Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm sorry we did it in the shitty cabin. I would have loved to do it outside, but it was too cold.
I just
I'm a
figured
big
you were
puss.
gonna green screen it, and we were gonna be in space or something.
Yeah, I was doing like I didn't bring the green screen. I didn't break it out. It's in here right now. Anything you want to plug, right to camera, man. If you got socials, whatever you want, website. Hit
I got a new series. It's called Bigfoot Chasers. That's out on Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. You could do at Bigfoot Chasers on anything, and we're starting to release all the clips and videos and episodes.
Really?
to
Is it like a
watch.
series? It was a web series?
It's like a character thing where me and another character, we look for Bigfoot.
Oh, that's a great idea. All
Yeah.
right. All right, I'll plug it for sure. I'll put the
Yeah.
notes in the in the link and stuff in the bio.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks.
All right, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having
All
me.
right. You're still watching? That's amazing. Nobody does that. Nobody, but you did. That means you want more. Pick one of these clips. Go for it. I dare you. Hey, also follow one of those social media thingies.